The 5th season of Tour de Endurance pushes on, and for the first time in a long time, we have a close battle for first place in the standings. The Grayscales are separated by just 8 points with them and Team Sunrise as we head into Event 11, Balance Battle. We saw this event back in Season 3. 2 teams will go across the balance beam at the same time. There's really 2 strategies you can take in this event. You can focus on being as balanced as possible as getting to the end, and you can also focus on pushing the other team off on the other side. So lots of strategies we'll see here today, and it will be a bracket style event in Balance Battle. 2 teams will go head to head, and winner will advance until we have one winner at the end.
And I can promise you there will be a lot of contact based on the starting gate there. There are 2 teams, or 2 marbles from each team on each side of the course here, so there will be plenty of contact between teammates and rivals alike. But Team Cameo here in the pre-show does get 1 to the bottom. Well, it looks like they seem to have a 2-1. They got their second one, also got the first head of all the Sky Dragons, so they'll get the win in the Expedition pre-show with that finisher really making the difference. But that's an interesting thing. You get 1 marble all the way clear to get a finisher and confirm the win, but they see the heats lined up and ready to go. The important ones to look out for: Grayscales in Heat 3 with the Popsicles, and Team Sunrise in Heat 7 with the Citrus Sprinters. But the White Knights and the Party Crashers will start us out. 2 very different sides of the table here, and it's not the sides you would expect for the team. Can the Party Crashers finally start to bounce it back here? The White Knights lose a couple early, several early. In fact, they're all gone, and the Party Crashers will have their 2 go as their 2 furthest marbles beat out all the White Knights. That should be enough to advance.
For sure, for the Party Crashers, I was speaking to their coach. Their strategy was a lot of contact. I did see one of the Party Crashers just shoving aside one of the White Knights on the near side. You can see here, they're just blocking them and completely preventing them from even reaching the green zone. And by over 100 points, the Party Crashers will easily move on to the next round. Now, Honeycombs and the Blue Brigade. Honeycombs came away with the goal just 2 events ago in the obstacle race. Blue Brigade have 2 marbles go off very early. Oh, this should be an easy victory for the Honeycombs. Even if none of their marbles really went that far across to the green zone, the Brigade had 2 marbles that completely killed their run here, and I think Honeycombs should have comfortable advancement here.
And they will by over 30 points. The Blue Brigade, they were trying to push the Honeycombs off, but they couldn't keep themselves on the beam. It could have worked out had they curled back to the center, but it just wasn't to be. Honeycombs will advance, more good form for the yellow and black team as Heat 3 lines up. Popsicles and championship leaders, the Grayscales, who've been slipping as of late. But the Popsicles have a very good run here. They had 3 going far, but the Grayscales will get 1 all the way to the end, straight and true. That might just be the difference, but look how early they all fell off. The Popsicles at this point here, 2-1 or 3-2 even, but that loss right there for the Popsicles might be the definition. I think Grayscales will just sneak through here, and yes, they will. In fact, it was closer than I thought. Only 17 points, but the Grayscales finally back into a top half result, and this puts a whole lot of pressure on Team Sunrise.
And on we go to Heat 4, Rosemary's and Crazy Chickens here. You can see marbles going true to the center despite the wider beam here. Rosemary's are getting shoved to the far side by the Crazy Chickens, but the Chickens couldn't really capitalize on that. They also couldn't stay far on the beam here. So who's it going to be that gets the win here? Rosemary's did have 1 that goes off to the near side. They really stood on for a long time, and by 40 points, that was the difference maker. That 103 really pushing the Rosemary's into advancement here. Crazy Chickens, that contact didn't perhaps work for them. Now, in Heat 5, Croissant Crew and the Cheese Balls see the second half of the heats here.
It looks like Cheese Balls had the better run out of the gate. They're pushing pretty far. They do lose their marble early, and the Croissant Crew do get a finisher, but based on consistency, it's going to be a lot closer. Croissant Crew lose 1, 2 very early. There goes the first for the Cheese Balls, and they do have, it was very close toward the end of the course. I'm not entirely sure. I can't really call this one. Croissant Crew were inconsistent, but they do get that finisher. And in fact, the consistency gets it through for the Cheese Balls. Marbles 1 and 2 were the definitive choice, were the definitive loss for the Croissant Crew, and they will fall out here despite getting a finisher. Cheese Balls will advance through consistency. Now, the Goon Platoon and the Crystal Pistols in Heat 6. 2 mixed fortunes so far. The entire top line swerves off to the far side, and Crystal Pistols have their marble individually go the furthest, and that might just be enough, because look at how that entire top lane just was thrown off by the leading Lagoon Platoon marble. I think the Pistols will do enough here just because of that entire top row flying off to the side.
Yeah, when you have 1 marble that gets out in front, the other marbles need to do some backing up, and it did not work out for the Lagoon Platoon. Crystal Pistols easily going to move on here. Low-scoring affair once again in that heat. And now the big one, Citrus Sprinters and Team Sunrise. Team Sunrise needs to advance to have any chance of keeping pace with the Grayscales. Oh, three of the Citrus Sprinters were on, but one of Team Sunrise will get to the end. Is that going to be enough for them to move on here? It's going to come close. I think the Citrus Sprinters were a bit more consistent, but Team Sunrise with that one finisher, is that enough? We'll have to see.
Or Citrus Sprinters had their last marble peel off right at the end, and that was the difference maker. Team Sunrise have advanced 300 points to 272, and they're on to the quarterfinals as well. So this battle is really starting to heat up now as we move on to Heat 8. Well done to Team Sunrise, as Marauders and Team Mayhem, a very tough heat to follow, lines up in this next one. The Marauders get their marbles out in front. Team Mayhem do have their two going on pretty far, or far enough than the rest of the Marauders, but one Marauder does get all the way to the end, and that, with how early the rest of the competitors came off, I think that'll be the difference maker here, and the Marauders should advance. Mayhem seemed more consistent higher up the course, but they just couldn't get it too far down, and that will be, in fact, actually it was much closer than I thought. Again, tough to follow, but Marauders advanced by only 7 centimeters. That finisher was the big difference maker there, and they'll move on to the quarterfinals. And there you see the classifications for the bottom half of the results, and it's very close. Citrus Sprinters get the best of the rest, and the Goon Platoon with the only sub 200 score and 198, they'll get dead last here. But now we move on to the quarterfinals of Party Crashers and the Honeycombs.
Well, Party Crashers try to do lots of contact here. They're still trying to get their first medal of the season. Honeycombs have 2 fairly in the middle, but Party Crashers, all of them still on the course. One finisher for them, one late finisher for the Honeycombs, but it is too little too late for them. That wonderful consistency we're seeing from the Party Crashers here is going to put them in the final 4 of this event. And the Honeycombs, they didn't even do too badly in this heat. But no answer to the Party Crashers here. All 4 of the Party Crashers comfortably going to get them into the semifinals. 425. That's the best score we've seen all day here today.
That was a fantastic run by the Party Crashers. All of them above 90. That is what you want to be doing in these later stages of the event. As Grayscales line up against the Rosemary's, a big one here. The Grayscales lose a couple. Rosemary still have 3 on the board. They still have 3 on the board. They're going to go all the way. The Rosemary's get 3 finishes compared to the Grayscales just 1. The other finishes, or wherever everyone else came off, does not matter. Rosemary's will absolutely advance here, and perhaps even best that score just put down by the Party Crashers. We'll have to see for the overall results for that. I'm not super confident because the Party Crashers were so consistent. In fact, they beat him out by 4. The Rosemary's had the new best score of the day and absolutely conquer the Grayscales, but more importantly, the Grayscales have gone out. Everyone's going to look forward to quarterfinal D now, but first we've got quarterfinal C. Cheeseballs and Crystal Pistols, 2 clear, solid coloured teams. What can they do to line up for the semifinals? It's actually very close out of the gate between all of them. They're all starting to pile up in the center. It's going to be 2 finishes for the Cheeseballs and 2 for the Crystal Pistols. I wasn't paying attention to the consistency, but I know Cheeseballs lost 1 before the rest.
We're seeing finisher for days as we get later in this event. There was not a lot of contact out of the gate, but drifting off to the far side with all of those marbles. 3 for the Crystal Pistols. Will that 2 Cheeseballs do enough? No! By 14 points, the Crystal Pistols will hold on. More consistency for them, and it was that 48 for one of the Cheeseballs that killed their run. Oh, the Cheeseballs. I thought they might have had it, but you really need consistency in this event, especially when marbles are going so far. And on to the next heat. Team Sunrise. Oh, everyone's flying off really early here, and that one Marauder is going to go down the center to the end, and I think that will seal it for Team Sunrise. They had a chance here to get in the final 4 and make up good ground on the Grayscales. We'll have that one finisher for the Marauders. I think Team Sunrise will be done. We'll have to see what it is for them in the 5th to 8th, whether they'll actually beat the Grayscales. 202 for them. That's not great. All those marbles that fell off early is not something we've seen much in these quarterfinals. So Team Sunrise, I think, will get 8th place, and yes, they will. Grayscale 7th place. Cheeseballs, though, will get the best of the rest.
Yeah, again, for the Marauders, in the heats and the quarterfinals, they caused chaos at the back or the front, and it has had 1 cruise to the end to confirm the advancer. Can they do that again in the semifinals, where the competition is real tough? Party Crashers and the Rosemary's for their spots in the final. The Crashers have done so well so far. Rosemary's have 2 still going, but they both peel off to each side, and the Party Crashers with 1 finisher, and I think they had a 3-2 on the board with the Rosemary's at 1 point. It was close, and yes, right there, they seem to have the higher consistency overall. I think that should be enough to advance, but the Rosemary's have just kept their final 2 going to the end. They would have booked their ticket to the final, but the Party Crashers are in the final, and finally, after event 11, have confirmed their first medal for these games. As for what it will be, is yet to be determined. It'll be either Crystal Pistols or the Marauders fighting them for gold, as they line up now for semi-final B.
The Marauders are up there in the standings, not too far up there to close that gap, but if they can get in the final here, they have a huge chance here. But the Crystal Pistols will also get 1 finisher, so will the Marauders. Both have 1 finisher, so it's all about the marbles that didn't finish. Who was better here, Marauders or Crystal Pistols? Crystal Pistols at this point, they have 3 still on, while 2 of the Marauders fell off fairly early in comparison. So I think the Crystal Pistols might have done enough. We'll have to see. Yes, by 1 point! Crystal Pistols will beat them by 1 point. That is as close as it will get here. They will face... They will go to the final here.
That is incredible. 1 point in it. That's the closest I think we've ever seen, obviously, for a balanced battle event. Closest it can be. Marauders are pushed down to the bronze medal match in a heartbreaking semi-final loss, but Crystal Pistols, fantastic, on for their next medal of these games. But first for the bronze. Rosemary's and the Marauders, both these 2 teams are up there and will close ground on the leaders. But who's going to get the most? It looks like Marauders have 3-1 on the board right now. It's all pretty much all over. 1 finisher for the Marauders and 2 going fairly far. I think I can call that pretty comfortably. Marauders should get the bronze here. Rosemary just could not keep it together after that loss in the semi-finals.
Yeah, actually the near side marbles came out way faster than the far side. I'm not sure if that affected much, but here the Rosemary's had a good run. It ends here by 70 points. They will lose to the Marauders, who will get yet another medal here, and they will continue to rise up the standings, or at least close that gap. But now, for the gold, Party Crashers and Crystal Pistols. Who claims gold in balanced battle? Off they go. It's even out of the gate. One of the Party Crashers is well ahead, while Crystal Pistols still have 3 on. And will they get 1 to the finish? Yes, they will. The Crystal Pistols had 2 very late on, and that might be just what they needed to capture gold. But the Party Crashers also had pretty decent consistency, and 2 of their marbles also fairly up there. So, will Crystal Pistols come away? I think they have done it. I think the Crystal Pistols will capture gold here.
Their second gold of the season is locked away. By nearly 100 points, the Crystal Pistols have captured gold in the balance battle, saving all of their physicality for the final against the Party Crashers, who have finally gotten on that podium, so they will not be too upset with that at all. The silver medal in a team event, no less, and the Marauders will round out the podium, but all of those teams did so well to push so far, and wow, what an event we have seen here today. The balancing given a new form, just like we've seen in Season 3, and we have another gold medal for the Crystal Pistols, who are doing very well in their return to Tour de Endurance. Congratulations to those top teams.
So looking at that gap up top, it is 9 points between Gracekills and Team Sunrise. Marauders jump up into 3rd and are just 14 points behind 2nd place. Rosemary's jump up 4 into 4th. Next event, we will have the funnel elimination race, a long, arduous event in that one. So we'll see you then.